Welcome to a new episode of League of DFS. My name is Chris Chung. I can be found on Twitter as at Prime Time. That's how it's spelled on the screen for you. You can also find my channel at FF Dynasty 101 on YouTube and Twitch as well. So, I've received the feedback from a lot of you, or from some of you who are new to my channel, who really does enjoy my show. I thank you for your patience. I am trying to become better and getting ready for the summer split. I mentioned this over and over again. So I will take your criticisms and I will take your pointers and incorporate them, and hopefully there will become a better show by the time we get to the summer split. One of the suggestion is to break the show down to focus more on the daily fantasy aspect and to do slate breakdowns. And so I will be doing a small project before the summer split to talk about the different basics of League of Legends DFS in a later time, and you will find them all in my channel. And these advice will be useful for you to go through as we change every season with new changes. You'll still be able to use the advices that I will put on there. I also like to correct some of the errors I made in my previous show. In order for this to be a quality show, I know that I have to make accurate statements. I have to make accurate wording. So Ascension Gaming is from the Thai. It's a Thai team, not Japanese. My bad. If I'm wrong again, please correct me. But so far I know that they are a Thai team and they have a different style of playing that is much more aggressive and active. And I will get into that as we talk about today's game. The second thing we gotta address is PUBG stands for Players Unknown Battleground. I apologize if I offended anyone for not knowing the name, but it's just I'm not focused too much on shooter esports. But the whole point of my video yesterday was to talk about how esports is growing as an industry, and sooner or later we'll see a lot more daily fantasy sites that will offer esports as a game. So it's an exciting time. It's a new way of playing sports, and there are much more fun to be had as this industry grows. It'll be beneficial for both you and I, who are very, very much into the daily fantasy sports scene. I know I am doing League of Legends because football is in the off season and I can't bet. It's not betting. I can't play daily fantasy football, and I know the NBA and MLB are saturated with lots of advice and providers, but very little is done for League of Legends. So I'm hoping to fill in that gap. Hopefully some of you will join me, some of you who are better than I am. I'm sure there are those of you out there, but as of now I am the resource that hope to be beneficial to you in League of Legends DFS. So let's get on to today's slate, but before we get there, we'll review this morning's slate. So out of the three matches that happened today, of course, I gave the advice yesterday to put all your lineups stack up against Ascension, and that did not work out for two of the three. Unfortunately, that means me losing bankroll, me losing in the cash game preparation. It is unexpected. I don't think my process was wrong because Ascension Gaming is actually still bad, but they happen to outplay both their opponents using a very aggressive style that I did not anticipate from them. Or perhaps I did, and this time it worked, because the first time they used that aggressive style, they got destroyed by all teams in day one of MSI. But on day three, they probably found a better way to mesh their chemistry, their team fighting, and they came out unexpectedly. Even the betting odds were against them, and they outperformed them. This is the variance that I'm talking about in League of Legends that you will have to pay attention to. Sometimes we think there's a sure thing, but if we build a contrarian lineup, it could be beneficial. Okay, so that we'll review going slate by slate from yesterday. As you can tell, my cash game was not good enough. I was bubbling out of the cash green zone with this lineup, where I had a lot of Chaos Land Gamer players and a lot of Gambit Gaming. I had a lot of Gambit Gaming who played against Ascension and lost, and I had a couple of Rainbow 7, not enough for me to cash because the Gambit Gamer players actually underperformed severely, which led to me bubbling out. My GPP didn't do fare any better because I also stacked fully on the Gambit Gaming, who lost. Now, Slate 2, which is something that actually did better, where I played a lot more GPP due to the contests that were being offered. This one went as scripted, went as Vegas as expected, or betting odds as expected. Ascension got destroyed by Rainbow 7, and Gambit Gaming came back and won against Chaos Land Gamer. So just by focusing on those two teams with a punt somewhere, and my punt is slow from Ascension, you should be able to have cashed. I was able to cash in GPP, and if you had taken my lineup, I think you would have done well for match 2. Come match 3, I mentioned the pricing was ridiculous, how Ascension Gaming was priced as the most expensive, and followed by Rainbow 7. DraftKings seems to be high on Rainbow 7 regardless of who they play, and it came out to be half and half, wrong and right. Even the bettors on Bovada site and on other betting sites had said that Ascension would lose and that Rainbow 7 would lose. So in response to that, I had a lot of Gambit Gaming and I had a lot of Chaos Land Gamers in my lineup for my cash games. Because Chaos lost so badly to Ascension, my cash game lineup looked like complete crap, and of course, as expected, it's right outside of cash. No, way outside of cash. Based on ownership, though, everyone also expected the same thing, or majority expected the same thing, so I didn't lose too badly in the 3-man. I had a shot at the first place. With that said, DraftKings pricing seems to have a better betting source out there to know how to price their players. And looking back right now, if you had worked with a full stack of Gambit Gaming, you still could have won because of ownership being too heavily on Chaos Land Gamers, and that a lot of people didn't try to slot in the Gambit Gaming. But with this lineup leaving cash on the table, even though I went with Chaos Land Gamers, overall my lineup was strongly, heavily more on Gambit Gaming. So I was able to place second in a small field GPP, and this helped me offset some of the costs that I lost in the cash game. So those are some of the things you can think about as you go forward and build your own lineup. Think about how to be contrarian. This video will continue to provide you with my cash process. I don't think I'd have changed too much of my cash process going forward, and I will continue to rely on this because I know long term, if I follow this, it'll be successful. So let's look at tomorrow's slate. We are going back to Group B. We are looking at Supermassive, DireWolves, KaBum Gaming, and Pentagram. In order of teams that I think are the strongest to the weakest, you want Supermassive. They're projected to win all 3 games. Then followed by DireWolves, KaBum, and Pentagram. Now, with that said, there is a couple of places where you might think about playing the underdogs over the favorites, and I will point them out as we go along. So the first slate will start at 4 a.m. again. I don't think I'll be able to wake up in time to watch the whole thing, but maybe some of you will. It's a Sunday morning. The first game is Pentagram versus Supermassive, and Supermassive is a huge favorite across betting sites, as well as being priced the most expensive team. Let me make double sure of that. Yes, they are priced as the most expensive team of the slate, rightfully so. Then followed by KaBum, DireWolves, Pentagram. So that's how the salary is ordered, and that's what the DK is telling us is that Supermassive and KaBum are expected to be the favorites, and DireWolves and Pentagrams are the underdogs. If we look at the betting lines, we see that DireWolves and KaBum are very close in the betting odds, and perhaps bettors are thinking that this game could go either way. This provides you with an opportunity to be contrarian. I found it very easy to stack Supermassive with DireWolves for a lineup and just have these two teams go in a single lineup. But that said, I am not ignoring what DraftKings sometimes may be thinking. So my cash process will be to have KaBum somewhere. So I'll throw a KaBum Supermassive stack lineup with a punt in one of the GPPs. But my cash games, following the trends of betting lines and following what we know from day 2 of MSI, DireWolves and Supermassive stack will be the way to go. If you are unsure, try to get 4 Supermassive in your lineup and then fill out the rest and have a punt. Fill out the rest with DireWolves and then have a punt somewhere. So that's for the first game. The second game is Pentagram versus KaBum and DireWolves versus Supermassive. The salary here, how they're divvied up. Let's see. The salaries show that KaBum and Supermassive are the favorites. Surprisingly, Supermassive is not the most expensive team, even though I think they are the heavy favorites of this game. They might not score as much because they are facing against a slightly better team. DireWolves and Supermassive did have a close game at time in the first day that we saw. But at the end of the day, we expect Supermassive to win. For this slate, KaBum should probably be the safer option, and that makes sense why DK priced them higher than Supermassive. I don't see any reason to go contrarian here. I would just stack KaBum and Supermassive for my cash, and that's kind of how I did it. Supermassive, KaBum, and fill it out. It should fit without too much issue. I think the salary is much more flexible for the second matchup, so if I'm not mistaken, I was able to make a full Supermassive KaBum stack. So that's for the 6 a.m. game. And you can just have a glance of where I'm headed, where I'm thinking about going with this lineup through looking at here on this screen. So let's look at the final matchup. This is Pentagram versus DireWolves and Supermassive against KaBum. Now, in the first time that these teams face up, DireWolves easily take care of Pentagram. Again, I'm going to treat Pentagram like I treated Ascension and not follow this trap, or not trap, but follow the short-term recency bias that, because the weaker team was able to win 2 out of the 3 slates yesterday, I should follow the same thing today. Now, I'm going to stick to my process. Pentagram, DireWolves, I will pick DireWolves and have Supermassive again. They should beat KaBum, but a small part of me, and you can throw this into a GPP if to make yourself feel better, a small part of me think that KaBum will actually show up better than what they showed up in day 2. They have thoroughly embarrassed themselves with the poor draft, with poor gameplay. So now I think they will be better prepared and will give us a better game. So that's where I'm thinking to go for GPP, is to stack DireWolves and KaBum. But for cash, it will be DireWolves, Supermassive, and punt. Maybe even 2 punts, just to get the players that I want in there. So this is where my build is going to look like. DireWolves, Supermassive. Both those seem to fit well. I found a lineup that I like that stayed under the salary cap and was still feel like a cash game kind of lineup. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you are able to profit. Use your game theories. You have the skills as a DFS player to know how to build a team. The player pool is much smaller, so I think you'll figure this out. It will be much easier than NBA or NFL. So I will sign off here. Hope you enjoyed this video once more. Please give me any suggestions that you might have, how I can improve in my videos. And also in what ways, if you enjoy the background music that you're hearing, maybe that's something that I could look into adding more. So thank you so much. Enjoy your day. Hope you dominate tomorrow. Let us be back. The real MSI is going to start on Friday, when we actually have teams that I am familiar with, that we are familiar with, and we'll have fun watching those. But for the time being, let's enjoy these play-in stages as well and see if we can profit off of them. Have a good night. and keep sharpening your process.